Belfry. This is the Bell of Lost Souls, and you are watching Wrath and Glory, the Box of Sorrows. My name is Ross Watson. I am the lead designer of Wrath and Glory, and I will be running the game today as the game master. I have with us, we have a great group of players. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and your characters?
Am I up first?
You're up first.
Hey everyone, I'm Adam Harry, otherwise known as Pator Nemoris. I am a Ministerian priest. I'm also one of the writers at Bell of Lost Souls, and I'm super pumped about this. This is like a cross section of awesome of RPG and 40k. So let's do this. Abe.
Yeah. I'm Abe. I'm also one of the writers here at Bell of Lost Souls. I'm playing Commissar Victoria Lynn today. She's a Commissar of the Ashen Militarum, took place in the Indomitus Crusade, and goes around totally not bolt pistoling people to the head. We're all friends here, and no one will get bolt pistoled to the head. Totally.
Who would do that? That's awful.
Jerk move, man.
Jerk move, man.
Oh wait, I
Hey,
forgot
guys.
my character sheet.
I'm Mark. I have played on the stream a couple times, and I'm super excited to be here. I've been playing in this universe one way or another since I was a wee little boy. Today I'll be playing Battle Brother Trojan Cole of the White Scars Space Marine chapter. I am ready to mete out some justice for the Emperor.
I'm Jennifer, known as Mayhem's Muse on the interwebs. I'm the video producer over here at Bell of Lost Souls and the cosplay writer. And today I'm playing Lady Yarmala Alaretta, fangirl of the Eldari extraordinaire, a mysterious person. I mean, the Emperor. Yeah.
Okay.
All about that Emperor all the time.
All 100% Emperor.
So this is the first time you guys have played the game, so we're going to be playing a little bit and teaching a little bit and playing a little bit and teaching a little bit, and that's basically how we're going to do this. So, Jennifer, or actually Abe, if you don't mind, you are going to be in charge of all the tokens and everything. Please pass out 2 red tokens to each player. These are what's called your Wrath points. On page 3 of your character sheet, it tells you what Wrath points can be used for, bottom right side there. Wrath points are a resource that you can spend to re-roll failures on your dice, to restore some shock if you lose shock, or to make a narrative declaration. You can spend a Wrath point and say, you know, this is that the Blast Door's controls are right next to me, and I shoot them before the Chaos Space Marines can get to us. That kind of a thing.
I'm a big fan. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So everybody should have their 2 red Wrath points. The other thing I need everybody to do is on your page 3, there should be a thing called objectives on the right-hand side. Objectives are a cool way for you to gain an additional wrath during the game. So, if all of you would just roll me 1d6
Big dice.
and take a look at that chart. So, Mark?
Yes.
Mark, I would like you to tell, what is your character's objective for this game?
I am to reminisce upon the traditions of my chapter and the chapter's homeworld, if any, and compare it to the current situation.
Right, so if you do that, it's only once per game, but if you do that, you will automatically get a Wrath point, period, no questions asked.
Wonderful.
See, this is our mechanic to sort of handle the stingy GM problem. Like some games have a GM who doesn't like to hand out the resource, you know, and players are like, I'm out, I don't have my cool resource. This is our way to, no matter what, you will get this. And it's a cool way also to bring 40k into the game. So,
Yes.
what is your character's objective?
Compare the current situation to the acts of a martyr you once knew. So, as a priest of the Ministorum,
Yeah.
that'll be fun sighting off some.
Just something to keep in mind, like later in the game, if you're like, I have no wrath, aha! I'm going to use my objective. And Abe.
Yeah, so I have to threaten to execute someone for cowardice in the face of the enemy.
Which is a very common song.
This can be subtle or overt,
That's gotta be all day long.
totally not going to shoot anyone in the head with my bolt pistol, like I said.
It's never gonna
Not
happen.
going to come up at all this game.
And Jen is playing Interrogator Lady Alaretta, so
That's
what
right.
is your objective?
I am to reminisce about my upbringing as a noble of the Imperium.
That is entirely awesome. Alright, so you have your Wrath points, you have your dice in front of you, and one of those dice is special. It's going to be your Wrath dice. You will include this in any roll that you make, but let us get started into the adventure. So, all 4 of you are part of a warband in the Gilead system. The Gilead system is part of the Imperium Nihilus, or the Dark Imperium. It is part of the galaxy that has been cut off from the Greater Imperium by a warp storm that is spread entirely across the galaxy called the Great Rift. And all of the worlds and systems on the other side, which is where you guys are, they cannot count on reinforcement. They cannot count on the inexhaustible resources of the Imperium. All they have to defend themselves are whoever happens to be there at the time. So, you guys are sort of Brother Trojan Cull, for example, is the last survivor of his particular squad of Battle Brothers, and Victoria Lynn, the commissar, she is from this area. She's actually part of the Astra Militarum, the Gilead Gravediggers regiment. So you guys have been kind of thrown together by fate and have worked under the leadership of a rogue trader named Jaquel Veronius, and he has sent you on various missions throughout the system. Partially because he's the only one who has ships that can get around. You know, he's got a navigator and all that stuff. So his authority is actually accepted pretty much all across the system, kind of de facto, because there's no other way to make kind of stuff happen. So you've been working for him for some time. Now, the current mission that you guys are on, you have been sent to an outpost on the moon of Scale. Scale is a pretty desolate, barren place. It is only home to a few scattered outposts of the Imperium. It is a moon on the farthest edge of one of the heart worlds of the system called Ostia. Now, you guys have been sent here. Your mission, as it has been explained to you by the rogue trader, is you are to locate Adept Gwendolen Scipio. Adept Gwendolen is actually someone you've worked with before. She is one of the Adeptus Terra. She's a very learned individual. Now, Lady Aloretta is one of the smartest people you have ever met. She actually has a cranial implant that makes her very, very smart. However, Adept Gwendolen's knowledge base is just a little broader because Lady Aloretta is highly focused in her discipline. She knows the Eldar like nobody's business, but she doesn't really go much outside that. So, Adept Gwendolen is kind of the person you turn to for a lot of your investigative needs and that kind of thing. And you've been sent to locate her because she's gone missing. She was on a mission to Scale a month ago and has not been seen or seen, checked in, or contacted the rogue trader in some time. So you're all aboard a Arvis lighter. I mean, let's face it, it's basically a dumpster with wings, but it's a cool shuttle that gets you around to different places. And the Arvis lighter comes down, and the door clangs open, and you are in a big hangar bay that is part of an outpost. And just as that door clangs down to the bottom, you get kind of a shock or a surprise for everyone except Lady Aloretta, because on the wall of this hangar bay is the icon of the eye with the triple bar in the center. This is an Inquisitional outpost. Now, Lady Aloretta, you are a member of the Inquisition. You have a keyword on your character sheet. Everybody has keywords that tell you like who you're associated with. And Lady Aloretta has keyword Inquisition, so she's like, aha! She kind of knew ahead of time that this is kind of, this was one of their hidden bases. Now, all around you, you can see basically a lot of empty bays where there would be other shuttlecraft. There is a couple of silent chimeras that have been sealed for the moon's surface. And there is a pretty large door with a big numeric keypad and the emblem of the Cog Mechanicus on top of it that has a red blinking light that seems to indicate it may be locked or otherwise secured. But as you all step out of the shuttle and look around, there's a crackle and you hear the Vox click on. Who are you? Why are you here?
We've come seeking the Lady Gwendolen.
All right. So, do you want to display your badge of authority?
Absolutely.
All right.
They need to know who I am. I'm kind of a big
So, Lady Aloretta, she will pull out her badge of authority. What is Lady Aloretta's badge of authority? What does it look like? You can tell me. It doesn't say, so you can just come up with it. Is it a ring, a badge, like a cop badge?
We're totally gonna go pendant style.
Oh, it's a pendant. All right.
So I'm gonna pull this pendant out, and it's got like the symbol of the Eldari on it.
Is it made from
like
rainbow?
that, and like surrounded by little hearts.
Love it.
Okay, I'm sure it also has some sort of Ordo Xenos.
Oh, and then
It's like in the bottom left.
Yeah.
The what symbol?
There's
Don't
fine print.
worry
There's
about
fine
it.
print.
Hail the Emperor.
In the fine print, it says Ordo Xenos.
Your Space Marine battle brother is giving you some serious side eye right now. You
But
can't
you're
see it because of the
wearing a
helmet, but it's there.
All right, so the door starts to click and rumble. You can actually see the light switch from red to green, and there's a flickering light that kind of forms in the center of the hangar bay, and you see a hololith, which is basically a hologram. You know, it's like that Star Wars style, all kind of fuzzy, you know, and gray. But you see the outline of a noble-looking man with a severe face and a widow's peak, and he's got this high-collared jacket with the Inquisition mark on it. My name is Interrogator Kuvar, and you have entered this outpost with the correct code, so therefore I assume you are on a mission for that damnable rogue trader. Very well, I've given you access to the interior of the outpost, but you should beware, for things are not all as they seem. And as soon as he says that, the door clangs, hisses wide open, and I need everyone to make an awareness test. Now, this is going to be the first die roll you make.
Yeah.
Your skills are on page 2 of your character sheet, and there is a attribute and a skill, and they combine together to form a total. The total's all the way out on the right-hand side. So you'll roll that many dice. Now, one of your dice should be the Wrath dice. And when you roll those dice, you're going to set aside any 1s, 2s, and 3s. Those mean nothing. 4s and 5s count as 1 icon. Those are a success. And 6s are special. They count as 2. They're called exalted icons. They count as 2.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll that up. Count up how many icons you get. The difficulty you're looking for is 3.
This was an awareness test.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
You said 1s and 2s go away?
1s, 2s, and 3s.
1, 2, and 3s
So,
go away.
real quick question: is it the number, the total plus the Wrath die? So it's a total.
The Wrath die replaces a die in the pool.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
okay.
The total number of dice in your hand should be the total on the sheet.
And one of those has to be the Wrath die.
Correct.
Got it.
Now, if your Wrath die rolls a 1 or a 6, something special happens.
I
So,
got a 6.
I got a
My
1.
Wrath die.
Yeah.
all right, that's awesome.
Okay.
All right, so Abe, a 6 on the Wrath
I got a
die.
1.
Abe got the 1. Adam got the 6.
Sure, but I'm gonna start with the 6 on the Wrath die.
Fun fact.
6 on the Wrath die is really cool because this is where your group gets a group resource called Glory. Every time you roll a 6 on the Wrath die, take one of those poker chips and put it in the center of the table. You now have a glory point in your group pool.
Sweet.
If you check your page 3 of your character sheet, bottom right, it says what you can do with glory. You can use it in a combat to seize the initiative. You can use it to give yourself extra dice under certain circumstances, and to enhance critical hits.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so glorious because of that. You know,
Glory.
succeed or fail, you have contributed to the group's glory. Now, I'll deal with the complication after we resolve the actual test. So, Mark, who's playing Trojan Call? Trojan Call, how many successes or icons did you get?
I got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 icons. No,
Okay.
1 exalted icon. So, but total of 5.
Okay,
successes.
so that's great. So when you get that many, you have passed the test because you needed a 3.
Okay, cool.
And now there's things you can do with 6s as long as you still have enough to meet the difficulty, but we'll get into that later.
Sure.
So for this roll, let's just say pass fail. You have succeeded, and Peter Nemoris,
I have 2 5s and a 6, so I have 1 exalted success, right?
right, which counts as 2.
Which counts as 2, so I have 4 successes.
Correct. So you also pass.
Yes.
Abe.
I have 2 successes because apparently icons and exalted icons sounds too chaotic for me.
So
I'm
not
staying away from it.
only did you fail, you failed with the complication.
Yeah. No, I'm not into this.
You were
apparently.
very, very concerned about the.
I'm
Checking
watching
out
everyone
the-
else.
And Lady Eloretta, what did you roll?
2 4s and 2 5s. I'm very much in my element here. I am
All right.
concentrating and ready to go.
Everybody passed the test. As the doors come rumbling open, you can hear this strange shuffling sound, and your noses pick up the venting of musky air laden with some sort of musky pheromone that just like it causes sort of an instinctual recoiling in all of you except Brother Cull, who has seen much worse than this.
And smelled probably. Anyways,
So all of you smell that. You hear shuffling sounds, and coming out of that doorway is a mob of shambling creatures with huge lesions and pus-bleeding orifices, and they have wide grins upon their faces, but their limbs are mutated into these horrid, sucker-laden tendrils. These are the diseased minions of Nurgle known as poxwalkers. Now, Abe,
Kick my ribs.
the commissar does not only does not notice this, when a complication occurs, something interesting happens. This is the way we get not only a pass-fail, but also a yes, but, or a no, and result.
I like that.
So this is your no, and moment. What do you think would be interesting for a no, and with Commissar Lynn?
Falls on his own boulder.
Down one early on.
Irony.
I mean, I feel like at this point I'm too busy watching these people out of my suspicions, and so perhaps I notice something that I feel is suspicious about my own party mates.
Okay.
At the moment.
Well, that's great. And see, we have a rule in the book for if you can't think of anything as well. If you're like, I just really can't think of anything, you can actually just say, I can't think of anything, and the game master gets a point of ruin, which is my resource.
Okay.
And I start with the number of ruin equal to players, so I have 4.
Okay.
But, you know, in this case, you want to say you're distracted. Why don't we call that a penalty for this round? You're going to take a penalty to your actions because you were distracted. But other than that, it's not going to really affect you. So, yeah, you're just not looking around at anything. And then these poxwalkers come rolling in. And what are your characters' reactions to this?
I pick my robes up and move out of the way.
Ha!
Heretics.
All right, so we're going to go into a combat round now.
Where are you guys all going? Why are you all freaking out?
It smells
Shoves
of
you in the way.
Somebody just passed gas. Jeez.
Com-
Just step behind and around the commissar, so the commissar is between me and them.
Commissar Lane, you do notice. I mean, it's not like you're not blind. You do see them coming out, but you are distracted by all the.
Right.
Wait, what? Oh no! And here come a mob of poxwalkers. So in Wrath and Glory, we're going to follow a back and forth initiative system because we like a good flow of you guys get to go, then I get to go, then you guys get to go, then I get to go, and that's how that works. Now, there's resources we can both spend to adjust and affect how initiative happens. The default mode is that the players always go first unless it's an ambush situation, which this is not an ambush. You were warned, at least a little bit. So one of you will decide amongst yourselves which one of you gets to go first.
Guys, I'm
Feel
just
like the
saying.
Marine.
I feel
I
like
was
the Marine would go first.
bred for this
Yeah,
situation.
I
like,
think his hyper
obviously.
reflexes would kick in.
All right. So Trojacol, you get to take your action now.
Okay, I have so many questions, but I see here on my gear, sweet Mark 8 power armor, the best. But I don't see anything like a bolter or a chain
it's
sword
on that
or a power. am I
Actually,
in the wrong
your
place?
weapons are
Weapons
on the
page.
bottom of page 2.
Yes.
Bottom page
Back to
2.
one page.
Okay, cool.
There you go. Bolt gun.
Okay.
You not only
That
have
makes
a
it
bolt
pretty-
gun, you have a combat knife,
Oh yeah, it's pretty solid. However, I also
and you have
noticed
some grenades.
while I was on page 3, Jane would be proud. I brought the
Aw.
grenades.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to yank one from my harness and just roll that in there. And okay, so how much action economy do I have here?
Okay, so
Tell a story.
yeah, so basically everybody gets to take an action, and
Okay.
an action can include a multiple action, by the way, but
Okay.
we'll get into that later. Everybody gets to take a move, which is your speed. You can go that many meters, and you have also what are called simple actions. Everybody gets 2 simple actions, and a simple action can include drawing a weapon.
Okay.
So simple action, no problem, and then your action is going to be to throw the grenade.
Okay. Toss the grenade. Chuck the grenade. So
Cool.
what should I do to see how many of them I blow up?
So the way this is going to work is you're going to roll a ballistic skill test.
Wonderful.
Now this is a pretty easy test because you're literally lobbing a grenade at a mob of mutated, shambling creatures.
Don't throw the pin. Yeah.
It's really not that hard to hit them. So the difficulty you're looking for is a 2.
And how many dice should I roll?
So that would be under your ballistic skill.
Got it. Wonderful.
To your total.
Rolling 9 dice seems reasonable.
Because you're a space marine, you are really good at this.
It's like I've got practice or something.
Oh yeah.
3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, cool.
With your laser bow. Oh.
Laser bow. I feel like that's a different.
It is.
That is
Actually,
again.
I'm
Mongols
playing,
should have
I'm playing a space
bows.
Mongol, so.
You should have a bow. This is just my gripe.
Bolt car.
All right, I think I did
It's
okay.
4, 5s, and 6s, correct?
4s and 5s are 1, 6s are 2.
On all my
Yep.
red
Correct.
cards,
So
yes.
4, 5, 6, 7 successes.
All right. So here's where we're going to talk a little bit about how those dice work. Are any of those exalted icons?
One of them is an exalted icon.
Okay, so as long as you have enough icons in your pool to hit the target, any additional exalted icons you can shift from the roll to the effect to do different things.
Yes, I would like to do that.
In an attack, for example, you shift from the roll to do extra damage.
Cool.
against a mob of troops, we'll talk about this later. There's other options involved, but yeah, if you want to shift for damage, you would take that d6 from your pool and say, I'm shifting this to damage.
And how many successes was I shooting for?
2.
And does it matter if I overkill, essentially?
Well,
on this part of it.
Well, what it does if you're attacking a mob,
Okay.
because in fact these are a mob,
Mm-hmm.
because hitting a bunch of guys that are in close combat with close proximity to one another is actually not that hard.
I also have +1 icon to any successful attack
Correct.
against a mob.
And that ability is called
Angel of Death.
That's right, because Space Marines are really great at killing all the faceless minions I can throw at you.
So good at it.
Right. So
Okay.
so what are your total icon count?
So
with that?
I had a single exalted icon,
Mhm.
and then I had a total of 5 regular icons.
So 7 plus your 1 would be 8.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so every 2 over, what you need is an additional guy you hit in a mob. So it goes 2, you for 2, 4, 6, 8, that would be you hit 4 guys.
Okay.
And then the grenade hits an additional 3 guys. So you actually hit 7 dudes with this roll.
You know what? Let's see how tough these dudes are. I kind of want to keep the exalted icon and get the extra dude that I'm going to hit, if that makes
Right.
sense. Okay.
That's I added that in already.
Okay,
So.
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So what you're going to do is you're going to take 1. If you look at the damage die damage of your grenade, it's
Okay.
10 plus 1 ED or extra damage die.
Okay.
So you're going to roll 1 die, and it's just like all the others. 1, 2, or 3 doesn't matter. 4 or 5 and a 6,
1 dice.
and add that to the total damage of the grenade, which I think is
3. So
is it 10?
13?
no.
It's 10 plus. Sorry, I think I misunderstood what you're saying here.
So extra damage dice are just like every other die in the game.
Yep.
1,
sorry,
2s, and
not
3s don't
success.
count. Yeah.
Never mind.
So still, you got a total of 10.
Yes.
All right.
That's what it said. Yeah.
Well, Poxwalkers are not that tough.
Yay!
So there's this enormous explosion as you pull the pin, roll the grenade across the floor, shrapnel goes through the air, and there is a fountain of bodies and blood and gore as this frag grenade goes right off in the center of them, just like you were trained back on Chigoris
Excellent.
at the chapter house. The blood vaporizes into the air. You all get that sort of coppery stink right out of the way. And there is a sizable plume of smoke and Physaline left behind in the sort of crater in the center of this group. However, that does not destroy all of the Poxwalkers, just most of the Poxwalkers. So a small group breaks free. It is now my turn to go. So I will take my action in my sadly diminished mob.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. My bad.
Oops.
My sadly diminished mob, they are going to run, and actually they want to engage the Commissar. So they all start
Ooh, what?
shambling forward at
What?
high speed,
The
and
unaware
there's
comics.
this sort of sound as they're leaving behind just foul stains and black brackish oil-like blood oozing at the tips of their pointed teeth, and they lash their tentacles at you with their inhuman strength. Now I could roll. If it was, say, a mob of 10, I could roll 10 times, but that's boring and takes a long time. So in Wrath and Glory, when you have a mob, you actually take a number of dice equal to their attack. So they have 6 dice for the attack. Mm-hmm. And they get 1 dice additional for every 2 guys in their group. And you round up. So in this case, they're going to get 2 more. So they attack 1 roll at 8 dice as opposed to 3 rolls at 6 dice. It just makes things go faster this way. And so 3 of them team up on you, Commissar. They get the extra dice because there's that many of them.
Okay.
What is your defense? It's under combat traits on page 2.
3.
All right, so that's my target to hit you. And so, well, I did pretty well. Not only did I hit you, I can shift a die to damage, and I will.
Okay.
So they come in and snarl, and their limbs lash out at you with their inhuman strength, and that's a terrible roll for damage. I'm going to spend 1 of my points of wrath to re-roll.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Oops. Oh, yes, much more better. Okay, so I got a total of 3 icons, plus their 7 strength makes it a 10
Okay.
for their attack damage. You compare that to your resilience.
Okay.
What is your resilience?
My resilience is 9.
Aha! So, for every point over your resilience, you take a wound. So they came in, they attack you, blood goes spinning through the air as one of them slashes you right across the cheek with the claw-tipped end of his tentacle.
Ow.
And there is that one rule about Nurgle, right?
Don't get cut.
Don't get it on you.
Yeah.
All right. So you're injured. Now, not everybody gets to do this. Only heroes get to do this. But you can soak damage.
Okay.
If you would like to soak damage, you will make a soak. There's a soak roll stat
Yep.
that you'll use. You can roll that, and that's how many dice. And for every icon, you will convert wounds into shock.
Okay.
It also costs you a shock to do it. So you have a potential to take 1 wound or take 2 shock. Would you like to soak, or are you just going to leave it and be cool with a single
What are the
wound?
effects of shock?
Well, when you're at 0 shock, you're exhausted, and that's
Okay.
really bad. You can't do any of the cool combat maneuvers, and any more instances of shock become mortal wounds, which you cannot soak.
Ooh. Okay.
So being exhausted is bad.
Being
But
dead's worse.
I think I will try to soak this.
All right, so you're going to roll your soak value, and all you need to get is 1 icon.
So you have a soak value of 5.
Yeah.
He's rolling 5 dice.
Yeah, Commissar Victoria is very tough.
And one of them needs to be the.
Oh.
So I do soak.
Abe
All right.
touched dice.
Yeah.
Don't.
So you soak so you convert the wound into 2 shock.
Okay.
However, like I said, don't get it on you. I will need a toughness test at a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
Because these attacks are what's called toxic.
I will pass that with a 6.
All right, so yeah, okay. So you get cut and you just kind of ignore it. You're like, "Pfft, you call that an attack?
I'm pretty sure I still don't even notice what's going on. I'm like, guys, what's going on? What is? Oh, poxwalkers.
So now it is. I've taken my turn. It's now your turn. So one of your players will now go.
I would like to charge in.
Yeah.
Furious vengeance of the Emperor. My faith will protect me. I would like to chainsword somebody. So
All right, so you'll draw your chainsword and charge right in.
charge
Yeah.
in. I'm going to attempt to help out the Commissar as a fellow Astra Militarum person. Or I'm a Adeptus Ministorum. Whatever. Peace Storm.
You are Adeptus Ministorum, but they do work very
Yeah.
closely with the Astra Militarum, especially priests.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you were a missionary.
I
As
was.
a matter of fact.
I will now recite some virtues of the Emperor as I strike down these foes. So I'm assuming this is going to be a weapon skill check.
It will be.
Okay.
It will be a weapon skill check.
So let's see, weapon skill. Okay, so I'm rolling 8 die.
And you also have a master crafted chainsword.
Yes. Plus
Hot.
2 damage on melee.
No,
attacks.
plus 2 dice. Plus
2
two
dice.
yeah.
Oh, okay. 2 dice.
When
Yeah.
you die, I'm taking your chainsaw.
It's a little small for you. Just saying.
I need a toothpick. Leave me alone. There's all sorts of stuff that gets stuck in
Space
there.
Marine's just using the chainsword like this.
So
It's like one of those cocktail swords.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got
This is cute.
you got it in your Shirley Temple. All right. Here we go.
All right, you also only need a 2 to hit these guys.
Oh, snap. I got another 6 on my wrath.
Oh,
Nice.
well, that's great.
He's hot tonight.
Yeah, he is.
Going to Vegas.
Ugh, those are bad. Okay, so I have 3 exalted icons, 4 exalted icons, and a 4. So what is
Wow.
that? 7, 8, 9 successes.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna hit all of them. And Abe, can you draw the top card of that deck with the blood letter on it?
Yeah, something happened.
It's a critical hit.
I like that
It
shit.
is an overpowering assault. Stunning blow sends your flow lurching away. Senses blinded by the brutal impact. The effect is the target suffers plus 1d6 shock and is staggered. Severity plus 2 shock.
Well, severity is where you put your glory if you want to make it more
Ah.
damaging. Now, again, these guys are pretty much faceless mooks, and the crit is a really awesome way of like decapitating one of them. But you know, the crits are usually more impactful if you fight elites or adversaries. Elites are guys that have maybe not names, but like a title, like
Yeah.
a cultist leader or an Eldar warlock, and an adversary is a guy with a name.
Okay.
Like, you know, Warboss Uzdraka would be a cool, like, that's an adversary. So, okay, but you just cut the living daylights out of these guys. You scythe them down like wheat, and you're standing there feeling victorious. And you look down that hallway to see another band just waiting their turn. Like, they're just like another mob of poxwalkers, like, that first vanguard is coming in and broken like the waves upon the rocks, and their bodies lie at your feet. But there's another group there just getting ready to go.
And I got a 6 on the wrath thing, so do we get another?
You also get a point of glory,
Yeah.
and you might want to go ahead and spend that.
Sure.
Because if you do,
if I do, there's the glory check.
seize the initiative is the thing you can do, and act again before it's my turn.
Would I act?
No, someone on your side. Your side goes again.
So, quick question: do we all, since we're alternating, do all of us have to go before someone can go again, or could?
Well, yeah, the round is over when everyone's active.
Okay.
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 Hey, Jen, do you guys want to?
You can only act once per round.
Okay. Yeah.
For the glory of the Emperor! I want to see the
Are you
initiative.
still all discombobulated, or do you want me to go?
You should go. I think I'm still discombobulated.
All right, so you're seizing the initiative. You're spending to seize the initiative, and that means that interrogator Aloretta steps up.
So the gentleman that we were talking to when we walked in is still hanging
Yeah,
around?
the interrogator. Yeah, he's in hololith form, and he looks disgusted. He's just like, what
He's
if
not really here.
He's not
by the
here.
throne?
It's a hologram.
Oh, right, okay. Is this a common occurrence here? And then I whip my last pistol out and I shoot at one of the dudes.
It was not common until very recently, I'm afraid.
Like 2 minutes
This
ago.
is
recently.
disturbing.
So you're gonna get your last pistol out and shoot. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. That will be a ballistic skill test.
Okay. Ballistic skill. Okay, so 3, so.
So
7.
an adversary is anyone who's named, right? Is a name for. So that seems like if your GM is really into just naming everyone, it's gonna be real rough for the player.
Oh yeah.
You're like, this is cultist Marco, football.
Well,
he's an adversary too.
You know, the fact that he has a name doesn't make
Doesn't
him.
make him.
He has to be important.
Sure.
What? Oh, I'm cool.
They can't all be
No,
important.
Okay.
I knocked him off with my character sheet.
Yeah, that's
I
what
didn't
I was
roll
like.
too far.
I
Okay, so I got a 1
Yes,
and a 6,
sir. I'm with
2
you.
2s, and 2 5s.
What
so
is your wrath die result?
My wrath die is a 2.
Okay. So how many icons did you get?
1.
That is a miss,
No,
unfortunately.
you got.
Oh,
Two
sorry,
icons
sorry,
and one
sorry.
exalted.
2 icons and 1 exalted, yes.
Ah, so this is a total of 4 icons.
Yes.
Okay, so that is in fact you will hit 2 of the mob.
Okay.
Now, if you like, you can re-roll your failures by spending a wrath point and make that an even more impressive shot.
And how many of those did we start with?
2 each.
2.
We just get 2.
Start with 2.
The little red
Yeah, I
cookies.
might as well.
You reroll
Oh,
all your
all
failures.
All your failure dice, yeah.
2 more failures and 1 success.
Well, at least it's a little better. All right, so you fire it. Sometimes that can make the difference if you're trying to shift a lot of exalted icons and you need to keep them. So sometimes that can be really important. But in this case, it just means you shoot a little bit better. But you do hit 2 of them.
Okay.
Now, the weapons we'll be using on these guys so far have been pretty much they're dead. Frag grenades and chainswords. Last pistols are a little bit lighter, so you will actually have to roll for damage on this,
Okay.
and we'll have to see what that means. So your last pistol starts with, I think, a 7.
7 and 1 extra.
Right, so you're going to roll that 1 and add it to the 7. Now, did you... Here's a question for you. You could either keep that exalted icon and hit 2, or hit 1 really good. Like, get the extra damage die on
Is
the 1.
1 on its own enough to kill one of them, normally?
If you roll well.
Hit him good.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll kill 1 real well.
All right, so you're gonna roll. So shift that. You're gonna shift that die to damage and roll 2
So
dice.
roll 2.
Fair enough. Well, let's see what you get.
2 6s.
Ooh,
Holy mo! All
One of
right.
them's your wrath dice.
Yep.
Well, Rathlon,
I already-
you don't do any damage.
Right.
There's tests and there's rolls.
Okay.
Okay.
Soak rolls and damage rolls do not have wrath dice.
Does not have wrath dice.
Tests always have a wrath dice.
Okay.
Okay.
So on this damage roll though, she added how many? So 2 6s
So-
is 4 icons. That's how many she adds to her 7
Wow.
on the last pistol. She does 11 damage.
Nice.
Plenty to absolutely kill this the lead Poxwalker. You just like right through the head, just like back on the firing range. And so that mob goes down from 10 Poxwalkers to 9 Poxwalkers. All right, you can only seize once per turn.
Cool.
So it is now my turn to go before you guys get to do a thing. So my 9 remaining Poxwalkers. Well, you remember how I described them like a wave before? Imagine like that new football team running into the stadium, they're just this huge rabid mob of rage and fury, and they come, more shambling than running, but they still do. Yeah, they have this sort of misshapen body, so it's like a weird twitching dance. But they come running pell-mell, and this time they crash right into you.
Ah!
Now, your defense is a 3, correct?
Yes.
You also have your chainsword in hand, and a chainsword has an ability called parry.
Ooh.
Parry increases your defense in melee combat.
Okay.
What that means is your defense is now 4 for what I roll.
That's good.
Okay.
And because I have 9 guys in this mob, I'm going to roll 11 dice, so that's kind of...
My faith sustains me. I hope.
You do get swarmed, sir.
Ah!
Ooh.
You know what? Wow, that's a pretty terrible roll.
Great.
I'm okay with this.
Great.
I'm cool with it too. How many
The
rats
Emperor
did you
is
got over there?
obviously on
You
Get
know
him out
what?
early. Ruin to him.
It's too early for crappy rolls. I'm spending a point of ruin. The game master's spending his resource.
That's okay.
Please do
That's
that.
great. Waste it now.
I
It's
like
fine.
that.
We're good.
And okay, yeah, not too much better. All right, so they come roaring out. They surround you. They flail away. I'm sure this has never happened to you on the tabletop where an entire squad failed to do any damage. I'm sure it's never
Never
happened.
happened to any of us. No.
So yeah, I know your resilience is higher than 7.
It is a 9.
Okay, so I get to roll a die, and if I could at least tie, I
Yeah.
can do some damage. Let's see what happens. I did not tie.
Yay.
Okay, so your Rosarius flickers with light.
Yeah.
Emperor protects.
He's like shrouded in this shield that actually starts to burn away all the bile and excrement that's sort of oozing out of these creatures as they
Yes.
lay into him, and you smell the reek of their burning flesh in the air. But you are unscathed. You are untouched. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
The Emperor protects.
Mhm.
All right, so that was my turn, and
This side
now
of
you
the
guys
aquila.
get to go. Yeah, the Aquila.
It's already there. Sorry.
It's actually already burned on my shirt.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is with this heresy over here? Eldar and then Kakai
I
with
don't
the
know what
Aquila
you're
and
talking
stuff?
about.
Like,
That's what all the
Wow.
That's what all the cool
Wow.
kids are doing. This is how the
no,
common
that
man
is
does
not.
it.
That
It's
is
in
the
vote.
side of like
who's
a radical
left to go
Inquisitor.
on your side?
That is me.
Just.
Just
Just
one.
me.
All right, Abe, you're ready to act now. Anything you do this turn is going to take a penalty because of that
Right.
complication.
So I'm gonna help them.
No.
Because it takes a penalty.
Heresy!
Uh-huh.
No, I'm gonna pull out my power sword. You said you get 2 minor actions.
Yeah, simple actions. Yeah,
Simple actions. So can
Drawing
I pull out
weapons,
can I pull out my power sword and my bolt pistol?
of course. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm
Could say
gonna pull out
something cool instead.
both my guys. What? Say something cool. Commissars don't say something cool.
That's not true. They're inspiring presences on the battlefield.
Yeah,
True.
but it's like a fear-inspiring presence.
Yeah, that's
Like,
fair.
Actually,
the
so-
bolt pistol is my inspiring presence.
If I can really quick, each of you has a cool archetype ability that only your archetype gets. The Space Marine can he has a cool special ability where he gets to choose a particular crit. The priest can make a
Rousing speech.
yes, and heal shock. And the interrogator can quote her. She can name her Inquisitor and get a bonus on interaction skills. And you, sir, you have one where you are actually scarier than most things these guys fight, so you give them a bonus to their tests to resist fear. So there's great reasons to have all these characters on your party, and that's part of what your archetype is all about. All right, so you're drawing your power sword, and you're gonna roll in there, right?
I'm gonna draw a power sword and my bolt pistol, and
Yep.
I'm going to inspire some fear in them with the bolt pistol. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they are engaged in melee, so if you roll a complication while shooting into melee, that could be bad for your friend.
Please shoot me. No, him. I'm not the one in melee.
All right, I'll charge him with the power sword.
Power sword.
Well, you can't. I was gonna say you can negate that by aiming. If you want to aim, they won't suffer that same issue. So if you really want to shoot, you can. It's just a.
No, I'll get in there with the power sword.
All right,
That's
fair
fine.
enough.
We're getting there. We're doing the.
So weapon skill test.
job.
Looking for 2.
Right.
For the power of it.
Oh man.
These are the best you can throw at us, right? Like, it doesn't really matter, right?
There's no
Yeah.
nemesis and adversaries.
I don't know. Does Nurgle have any more powerful
No,
creatures at his
that's it.
disposal?
Just zombies.
Absolutely not. Nope. This is everything else.
So
This is fine.
I do get a
It's all
2.
fine.
2 is well. You need to hit one of them. And your power
You're
sword.
so aloof right now.
I'm just like,
I'm above this.
What is going on here?
This is beneath
Bam.
me.
Your
Whatever.
power sword is strong enough to cut down one of them
Yeah.
without an issue.
Get away from me. I'm not really feeling this yet. I gotta warm up, guys. All right.
So that's the end of a round.
Mhm.
Turn of combat. Each character gets a turn, and then it's the round. So the round of combat's over, and we'll go to a new round of combat. And to start this off, each round of combat again, the players go first, unless I spend a ruin,
Nice.
in which case my guys go first. So I will in fact spend a ruin.
So just again mentally, we wiped out one mob. The second wave broke in, and like, I guess we're surrounded, or all of it, or just me.
You two.
Okay.
You two are engaged, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to split them up.
Ah.
Because I have 8, so 4 and 4 are basically going to fight each of you. And so again, they have their 6 basic dice.
Okay.
And a group of 4 gets 2 more dice. So I'm going to roll 8 against you and 8 against you.
Okay.
And that way, it is still a single mob. They're
Okay.
still acting as one. I mean, they're not 2 separate mobs now.
Right.
Okay, although that is something I can do, as I can split them up if I need to. But when they're engaged with multiple opponents, a single mob, they can split their attacks.
Okay.
So that's the way this is working out. So we will fight first against the Commissar, and your defense is now 4 as well, because you have a sword out. Oh! Alright, that's...
I didn't like that.
I don't like that sound.
Alright, I do
Emperor
hit,
test.
and I shift a die on you.
Ooh.
So let's see how much damage they do. 7 plus... Oh, not enough. Alright.
No.
Not enough. They flail away, and you are parrying with all the skill and precision of the Officio Perfectus. Now the space, ooh, all right. The priest is not as fortunate. I do smack you around quite a bit. Again, let's see if they can get anything done with their attacks. I'm afraid not. Okay.
My faith is to withhold.
Yeah, you guys are holding them off with precision, and my dice are utterly betraying me.
Woohoo! Welcome to the Belfry, buddy.
Again, I'm sure
Love
this
it.
never
Yay.
happens on the tabletop. All right, but yeah, so that was a great point of ruin spent. Yay me. All right, who wants to go first on your side?
I vote
You
for
guys
the White
feel free to
Square.
proceed. I mean, however you want to do this.
You're
I feel like the White Scar would just.
All right, cool.
Sure.
So,
Obviously.
I look to my embattled brethren. Yank out the combat knife.
Yeah.
So civil action.
Yeah.
And I run in to assist Patron Morris.
All right.
Screaming for Chigoris, for Jagatai, and I go to town on as many of them as I can.
All right. Well, then make your weapon
So-
skill attack.
Let's see. Weapon skill is way down at the bottom because it's alphabetical. 9 again. 9.
Just FYI, Brother Trojan Cull is big even among Space Marines. Like, they have a custom suit of armor just for him.
Yeah.
In the tabletop, he would probably be like a Strength 5 Space Marine. Like, he is really buff.
Cool. Okay, so
He
basically,
does not.
good
speak
choice
Like
going with the.
Well, you're not bad at shooting. You're not bad at shooting. You're not bad at piloting things. Like, you're actually the group
I
pilot.
actually saw that, so
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
You're the group pilot, but
I
you
would
also
like to pilot the Arvis Lighter into this mob of bad guys.
maybe next turn. Right now, you've got a knife and you're trying to stick it at some dudes.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so
we've got an Arvis lighter around here. We can go grab.
yeah, I like a spinning dervish. I wade into this combat. Whee! And do okay.
That's better than okay.
What is your total number of icons?
I'm working it. Math is happening as we speak. That's
6.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my Fury
Wrath die.
Wrath.
Wrath die. Sorry, is just a 5.
So,
So total of 10.
and then your Space Marine, so you add 1?
So 11.
Yes. Which means that you hit 5 of them with your
I'm
knife.
just saying that since my Astartes combat knife starts with a damage of 12,
Yeah, again,
I'm totally gonna hit dudes.
you are a
hitting a man.
beast
Yes.
with that knife. Yeah, so this against anyone else other than mobs, you actually have to try and hit multiple characters.
Okay, that's fair. We're just in that.
You're in that
swarm
zone. You're in that
situation,
zone where
yeah.
they're literally swarming you, and that's why it's simpler just to count icons, and that's how many guys you
Okay,
hit.
fair.
Because what we found is that if we did it the other way, where you had to say, well, I'm attacking 3 of them and I take this penalty, it got really
It bogs down.
it got a little bogged down. It didn't really feel like you were a dude fighting a whole bunch of dudes. It felt like you had to be really careful and tactical, and like no, it's not.
Nah, this feels
totally not how it should
yeah,
work.
I actually
Very
like
fluid.
this system a lot.
So you hit no less than 5 with your knife. You are a dervish. Well, you're probably naturally impatient, just being a Whites Guard.
No,
kinda
I
wanna
mean,
get it
like,
over
I'm
with.
just like, I would like more now, please. Yeah.
Ah, is that kind of your reaction when you're done? It's like more.
Do they all fall down?
Off, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do I see another mob coming?
No.
Okay,
There's
all
there's
right.
literally
That's too
only
bad.
3 left.
I'm super frustrated. I'm in my blood rage.
That's
don't-
not your chapter.
That's fair. I'm sorry.
Different chapter.
I'm frenzied.
Actually, how bad would it be to be a Blood Rager right now, surrounded by all this?
Oh, my friends would have problems.
Yeah.
Super,
All right.
super problems.
So you're done, and
Yes.
I don't have anyone else left to go.
Okay.
So it's whoever else wants to go on your side.
I would like to smash the heretics.
There's only 3
Burn
left,
the nerds.
and by the way, you do have a talent called Hatred.
Yes. Quick question too. Chainswords have a trait called brutal.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we
Okay.
roll damage on them because it's a damage affecting thing.
Okay. Hatred.
Heretics.
Heretic. Oh, sweet. Plus rank on melee attacks against beings with the heretic keyword.
Right, which, by the way, Poxwalkers have the Heretic keyword.
Just gonna ask that.
Hey.
Yes!
What'd you say?
Plus 2 damage
Difficulty. Yeah, you don't get along with heretics. So if you try
Okay,
to do,
if I try to talk to
if
them.
you try an interaction skill against heretics, you're like suck at it.
Yeah.
But if you want to hit them, you're really good at
This is
hitting.
like an if heretic then burn. So
Your flowchart is simple, and I like it.
okay, let's swing away here. So
Right.
again, this is that crazy 10 die.
Actually, 11 because of
11
heretics.
because
Hey.
heretic scum. That's 5. That's so many dice.
So you guys are what's called a tier 3 party. You're supposed to be cleaning up against Poxwalkers. This is no surprise.
You're good.
I rolled
You're super
another 6 for the rat. That
Beautiful.
thing's loaded,
He's
man.
professional.
Not crazy on the other end though. So
There's only 3 of them left. If
You're,
you get
you're so
2,
good.
4,
if you
5,
get at least
6,
6, yeah, you're
7, 8. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so you get all 3 of them. Draw a card from the deck there. See how nasty it is on that last guy as you take him out.
Just vapor.
Ferocious rending seems appropriate.
Yes.
This attack shreds your opponent's flesh into ribbons. Gory foes of red ruin are torn open, grinding the foe's bones and leave them open to attack. They're dead. The effect is plus D3 wounds and is vulnerable to severity plus 1 wound.
Right.
But I'm guessing
It doesn't really matter because they have 1 wound each.
They're
Guys
real dead.
that are in a mob,
yeah.
they only have 1 wound each. So and mobs scale. Like if you're a tier 1, like a single gene stealer is like a boss monster,
Oh yeah.
right? But when you get to like tier 4, the Broodlord is the boss monster, and the gene stealers are more like the
The
mob.
guys, yeah.
So rather than have the GM who has to track each guy's hit points individually, when you're in a mob, you just have 1 wound and that's it.
Makes it easy.
So
yeah,
they're either up or they're down. Anyway, so you mow through the last of the Poxwalkers, and you're sort of standing there, and Lady Aloretta is standing next to the hololith of the interrogator, who's just sort of, very well done. It seems the rogue trader chose well when he dispatched your crew. Now, tell me again, you're here seeking whom?
We are seeking my fellow acolyte, Gwendolen. She's been missing for some time in this absence of service.
Yes, I do think I remember her. She lies further within the outpost. You will locate here near Research Omicron. I will make sure that the doors are open for you along that path.
How generous of you. That's been real helpful so far.
He just kind of turns his head, looks you up and down, and yeah, commissars inspire fear, but even they have to acknowledge the Inquisition are some badasses, right?
No,
So
it's very useful. We need to purge these heretics. You've been a great help you us purge the heretics.
he doesn't even address you though. He turns back to Lady Aloretta. He says, I suggest you hurry. The situation has only been deteriorating the longer this goes on.
What can you tell me about the situation before we leave?
He says, I believe that it all began when we opened the Box of Sorrows.
So what now? Okay.
If you seek to rescue your friend intact, however, I suggest you hurry.
My Inquisitor will not be pleased with this.
No doubt. Neither is mine.
I'm getting frustrated. And I
Mine is
take
so much
that.
cooler than yours.
He does not reply. The hololith kind of flickers and then goes out, leaving you in the hangar bay, surrounded by bodies. And when you look down the hallway, Churchill, you're the first guy to notice that down the hall there's definitely a trail. Like those Poxwalkers were leaving bits of themselves, and foul ooze and ichor all the way down the hallway.
I mean, this is obvious to me.
There's literally a trail for you to
and
follow.
as a seasoned and established hunter from Chagaris, I'm following the trail.
Do we know what direction we're supposed to be going? Like, we know where this...
The doors are open in that direction, and there's pretty much like one hallway ahead of you.
Well,
and that's not the direction of the...
That's exactly where.
right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're being led down the path that the
Podswalkers.
Yes, but that is, to Jin's point, that's the correct path.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one way forward.
Okay, cool. Then
Let's move it.
You guys, as you go down the hallway, you actually see other bulkheads that remain closed, and their little indicator lights are still red. Lumens, indicator lumens are red. So you're pretty sure that this is the path, because you do come to some of these doors that have a green lumen and they're wide open, which obviously have been kind of prepared for you.
Yeah.
Does the trail follow through with the green lumen doors, or is it just kind of...
Well, why don't you make me a survival test?
Just one of us or all of us?
Well, you can do a combined skill if you'd like, although in that case, basically what happens is nobody rolls except for you, but you get a bonus for people that are helping you.
Okay.
I'll help you out with that. Go for it.
I'm kind of more interested in investigation at the moment.
What I love about
That's totally fine. So you're going to get a +1 die because you're getting some assistance on this. So just,
my stat for survival is a 5,
So
or
plus
the
one would be
total
6.
5. And then this is a test, so I do roll the rat.
it is a test, absolutely. Your difficulty's going to be 5.
Nice.
Difficulty's
Keep rolling
5?
those 6s.
I did not get it, but I did get another...
Well, that's another point of glory.
Yeah.
Wow, the priest is just glorious today. He's like,
For the
I see there's some tracks here.
Yes.
Would you like to spend a wrath, or are you good with what you've got?
I will spend... do I want to reroll? Yeah, I'm just going to follow the Marine. I feel like he is the son of the...
All right, so with the failed test, you're like,
Great.
yeah, there's a trail here. You're not sure how old it is, or they might have been coming, they might have been going. You're not really certain, but yeah, you just kind of look at the space marine and go, after you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just...
Brother Cole,
I
trust your enhanced senses.
Following the path. I do get my bolter out, though.
Okay.
I sheathe my blade, and my strides are long. Maybe they can keep up, maybe they can't.
The further you go into this facility, the stranger things get. The lights start to dim and flicker, and you start to notice more and more there's these strange growths on the walls and floor and ceiling. Fungus, like curtains of it, the wavy frond-like little mushrooms and stuff start to appear in little clumps, and then larger clumps, and then more of them. You can even see spores drifting through the air as you go further and further down this path.
Oh no, do you guys have, great respirator masks or something? This is a serious problem, I say from behind my fully enclosed helmet.
I have a grooming
I want to
kit.
look closer at some of these spores and see if I can, do I recognize anything
I would like to
about
find
them?
Prometheus.
I got some investigative abilities
You
here.
do.
What I
I'll
know?
tell you for free. You have a talent called Lore Master, and it's for the
Yes.
Eldar, the Eldari.
Right.
You can instantly tell for sure this is not Eldari. This has nothing to do with them.
Nope.
If you would like to make an investigation roll, you may.
I totally would.
Difficulty is only a 3. It's pretty, it's well within your
And
knowledge.
my number is how many dice I roll.
Right. So you take into account keywords when you do this kind of stuff.
Fair.
If this was an Astra Militarum guardsman who just had Astra Militarum as a keyword, he probably would have much higher difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has the Inquisition keyword and they deal with this kind of stuff on a more regular basis, the difficulty is lower for her.
Oh, cool.
So
okay.
keywords are important for a lot of things, and this is one of the ways that it's expressed.
Alright, so...
It's like someone paid attention to 8th edition 40k, and it's like keywords are important all
So
of a sudden.
3 icons and 1 exalted icon.
So a total of 5. You only needed a 3, so you make it. And here's where that shifting can come in handy. You can shift a die for 3 things. You can shift it for improved speed if you want to speed something up that you're doing. You can shift it for additional effect if you were like charming an Eldari Farseer and you wanted to make sure he really liked you. Or in the case of something like this, you can shift for additional information. So I'm going to tell you what you get for a basic, and then you can tell me what you want to do with that die. At a basic level, you stop and you kind of take a sample of one of the spores and the fungus, and you look at it a little more closely. Your cranial implant starts to analyze through a swath of data that you have collected over the years, and some of the markers, the stuff that it brings up on your heads-up display, are warning signs. You know, this is a biohazard. It's contaminant. This is definitely it's unhealthy and toxic over the long term. Short term, you should be fine. Like you don't need a respirator to be in here. And there are some cross-reference files that bring up a little three-circle symbol that says heretical data, warning moral threat present.
That's fine. This is totally fine. I'm a little intrigued by it. So
Okay.
I'm like, ooh, okay, what's this about?
Oh, all right, fair enough.
It's never fine.
Love a little bit of intrigue.
In character.
And so, do you want to spend that on extra
totally.
information? Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to do this. You can ask me a question, and I'll answer it, and then I will give you a little extra detail on top of that.
Okay. Do I have any idea where something like this would have come from and how it would have gotten here? Like how it would be propagating itself here?
Okay.
This is not its normal setting.
This is absolutely not its normal setting. This is an unnatural growth of
Yes.
fungus. Absolutely.
Something nasty is happening.
So
to
there's
make that happen.
you're suspecting demonic influence of some kind.
Oh, totally.
So there's that, and the little extra
It's not
detail.
heresy.
The little extra detail is that when you when you kind of dust off the spores,
Ew, 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 ew.
enough of the spores waft away, and you can actually see a small staff lying on the ground that has marks with the symbol of the Adeptus Administratum.
Staff, like
Yeah. Someone had propped it up against the wall here, and you're pretty sure it belongs to Adept Gwendolen.
so.
You're going
and
the right
that's
way.
where the stuff is coming from.
No, it was encrusted by the.
I
The
grab
fungus.
that immediately and like get all the stuff off of it. I think I whip out a cleaning cloth out of my. And I'm like, no,
Bleach, sister.
not cool.
All the bleach.
Yeah, you're definitely wishing out a flamer right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was about to
absolutely.
ask,
Ew,
Lack of promethium
ew,
is
burn it,
disturbing me
ew.
greatly.
No kidding.
All right, so you
I like cleaning
got
it up.
Promethium canisters. I'm keeping an eye out for Promethium canisters. Any Promethium canisters we find along the way.
well, for example, that's something you could spend a wrath point and make a narrative declaration.
Yes,
You could say,
yes,
"So I
yes.
find a Promethium canister."
Oh,
And a suit of Terminator armor.
Well,
Yeah,
it has to be,
Reasonable.
It has to be within the context of the circumstances. So,
find-
Terminator armor would just not be lying around, but a Promethean canister or something like that might
Legit,
reasonably
yeah.
be somewhere.
Mhm.
I find a spare regiment of Imperial Guardsmen. Those are lying around everywhere,
No.
guys. We all know that.
My pocket
Not in the
regiment
Dark
from my
Imperium,
pocket.
they're not.
Well,
Yes,
dead
it
ones.
was.
I didn't say live.
In the Imperium
Guardsmen.
Sanctus, maybe, but not here.
all right.
So this is very disturbing. This kind of growth should not be here. There is definitely some sort of.
This is the
demonic
taint of
influence.
You
nerd.
don't
Yeah, this
say. I'm very impressed by your deductive reasoning.
Your lack of faith disturbs me.
Was it the Poxwalkers that gave it away?
Scathing over-the-shoulder glance as I huff away.
Well, we all have faith in a dark.
Children,
religion.
this argument is holding us up. Let us proceed.
Walking.
So you
I'm
proceed
following
further
you.
down, and you enter into what was probably once a large laboratory or research center. There's all kinds of alembics and little stands and
Love it.
beakers and things like that you would expect to see, but it's all just covered in this thick, multicolored coat of fungus.
Science is heresy. Burn it all.
That's
Yes,
that's not
I
how any
agree.
of this works.
You know what? You know what I love most about the Inquisition?
Well, they're
They're
having
always
this little
making
tete
great
tete.
choices. They never are like experimenting with things that are best left alone.
Well,
I'm following Brother Toll.
So in this room, there's a couple of things that come directly into view. One of which is there's a big empty space right in the center of one of the tables. That's approximately a couple of meters long and like 1 meter wide. It's like a big void,
Mhm.
There's no fungus there,
Oh, interesting.
and it's roughly rectangular. In addition to that, there is also a sudden movement that draws your eyes over to the side of the room, and you see, uncovering herself from a robe, you see this form of a woman whose flesh is covered with fungus, like little mushrooms are sprouting out of her nostrils and her eyes, and she has like a swollen shut
That's
like
not good.
side of her face, and she looks up, she goes, finally you've come. Oh, thank the throne. I am Gwendolen, she says, and,
Oh,
and
no.
starts to come
No,
forward
no,
into the
no.
light, and you're all like recoiling from just
Bolt her leg.
How do we fix this right now. Oh, crap.
I think the Emperor's Mercy. Can
So here's a
Yeah.
little. There's a little thing you all need to do for me right now. You have a stat called Conviction. It's under your mental traits.
Oh no.
Yes.
This is going to be a corruption test,
Ooh.
Nice.
and your difficulty for the corruption test is going to be a 3. It's actually not that difficult right now.
I only rolled 4 dice.
That's true. It's not. It's possible you're going to get some corruption out of this.
Oh no.
I finally. Uh-oh. I
I
got 1.
I heard you were interested in Nurgle. Would you like a pamphlet? Okay, 4 dice. But I'm a space marine.
Wait, I can burn a wrath to re-roll that, right?
You can.
Oh,
To reroll
yeah,
your
do that-
failures.
do that
Just
thing.
the failures.
Yeah. So it was.
Now, here's a really quick point. If you bring a Sister of Battle along, she automatically helps everybody resist
Oh.
corruption.
I
There's a
almost-
really good reason to have Sister of Battle in your
I
party.
almost took
For,
the sister
like,
battle,
yeah.
but then Elle died.
Also sisters.
Yeah. So just make sure that I had my 1 success, which was a
Jen's
5.
gonna Jen.
1 icon,
I'm
which was a
Jen is
5.
gonna Jen. 8.
Oh,
okay. Ooh, I got
no.
3.
That's all you need.
I don't. Okay.
That's all you need. 3 is
Let's try-
good.
Let's try again.
She's showing off her
Jen
shirt.
is gonna Jen.
Love it.
That's all.
Wee. Oh, no problem.
Hey.
Space Marine in the house. 4
Alright.
successes.
Yeah, you're fine. Anybody who failed those, I'm going to need to. Oh,
We're gonna have a little chat.
what's
Ooh.
happening? Oh, you got glorious.
I got glory.
Did you also pass the test?
I did pass the test
Okay.
as well.
Jen, you also
Yeah, so
passed.
I got an exalted and a regular pass, so 3. So I'm good.
All right, so everyone,
I'm so used to
The
seeing
Emperor
like
by
Xenos
the
and
throne.
things all the time that I'm just like, no, this is fine. This is totally.
there's sort of a greasy feeling in the air, and you all sort of sense that clammy shadow kind of pass over you, that there's something unnatural in this room, you know, and you feel it, but all of you kind of resist it. You push it away. You armor your soul with contempt.
Yes! One of my favorite lines.
Is
just
it coming
FYI.
from her?
No, you're pretty sure it's
I'll
all
find
around you.
So
I will find it.
Out of curiosity, as a veteran of 1,000 battles, have I ever, does this seem familiar to me at all?
I would say not. I mean,
Interesting. Cool.
in that you have fought Nurgle before, yes.
Sure.
You know, there's no question about that. But this is far removed from the battlefield, and Space Marines are usually like a spear tip.
Oh yeah,
They go
where
drop
it
pod
works.
in, they
Yeah.
hammer, they like take out the leader,
Mhm.
and then they get out, right? You know, they don't.
They
They're
don't
not.
stick
They're,
around.
they don't. Well, I mean, they do, but they're not like the Astra Militarum is the big grinding
Yeah.
stone, where
Right.
the Space Marines actually are like, you know,
Precision
assault
strikes,
after assault
yeah.
after assault. So sticking around and looking at things wasn't really your strong suit.
That's fair.
You rode a bike most of the time, right?
Dude,
you were
it's
like,
just like this is,
"Rounds."
I'm actually making bike sounds as y'all look at this right now, thinking
So-
back to days better spent. Anyways,
my point is that this does not look familiar, but then the contexts are very, very different of
okay,
you know,
that's
what
fair.
those things are.
All right, thank you.
I mean, I know what you do with this kind of thing.
Burn it with fire.
Anyway, so
Just-
Gwendolen is kind of approaching you. She's like, my staff, I can't believe you found it. Oh,
Oh no,
I need it for. She kind of stumbles and almost falls as she starts to approach you. Please, I fear I'm somewhat unsteady. Ever since the box of sorrows was opened, it's been. And
Gwendolen, you have been
Rewind
corrupted
a
by
second.
heresy.
What's with the box of sorrows?
so, she just kind of gestures to that
Open.
box-shaped void
Oh jeez.
on the table.
Ugh.
And
And-
I'm assuming that the weird malevolent feeling is totally what I think caused all the spores and shenanigans. Yeah.
You're pretty sure they're linked. Yeah.
Okay.
Not being a member of the Ordo Malleus, you're not like 100%
Not
certain, but you're pretty close.
But got a pretty good idea.
And as she moves, she stumbles again, and you realize what she's stumbling over. Those aren't just like piles of fungus. Those aren't just growths. Those are corpses.
Oh no.
And the closer you look around, you suddenly realize you're standing in a room like that is carpeted wall to wall with bodies. Like just a closer look is all it takes. As some of the spores get, you know, like dust comes off the back of their armor. And yeah, you're looking at probably you would estimate at least a dozen people in this room.
So that Prometheus.
Is there any sort of property in
Besides
this
theirs.
staff that would make me hesitant to give it to her, or should I just? give it?
You're pretty sure it's just a staff with the market. It's her badge of authority, actually.
Okay,
Is what
yeah,
it is.
I'm gonna hand that over to her.
Okay,
Maybe it'll help.
she gratefully nods to you as she wraps her fingers around the staff and levers herself into a standing position. She said, I thought it would be too late. Oh, you think that rogue traitor is a wise man to send you after me so quickly. I believe the only other survivor is Tech Priest Arail. He lies in Section Gamma. The Mechanicus implants in his body helped him resist the onset of the box.
How do we stop this from spreading further?
Artillery.
She says this facility must be destroyed.
Oh,
Which is the whole
yes!
thing.
Do we
Alright.
have virus bombs?
Virus pumps for viruses.
Well, you do have a rogue trader flotilla, so if you ask them, they will
If we
torpedo.
has nice
They will torpedo the crap out of this
So
facility.
he's
There's no
got
problem.
Right, so let's
well,
go back.
then let's
Hang
get you
on.
out of here.
Our
and
mission
it's
was
a-
to find Gwendolen because she has information, correct?
Yes.
Do we have to bring her back?
That's a solid question.
I like where you're going, 'cause
How
I
dare you consider giving up on one of the
She is
Emperor's
cursed by the...
chosen?
Yeah,
She has survived the curse of Nurgle, obviously, because of the light
I'm
of the
standing
Have
right
you
here.
dealt with Nurgle much before? They always
literally right
survive,
here
and then they
talking about
spread.
Gwendolyn,
Hold
don't
please.
mind
Nurgle
them.
is our people.
They're
We don't count
rude.
anymore.
We will get you out of here. Absolutely.
Will it be safe to get her out of here?
We'll find
For
a way.
us.
We must
You-
perform the rituals of containment and purification and promethium rites.
Cleansing.
Cleansing of the...
We need to find a way to get the Nurgle off of her and get her safely out
There
of
is
here.
a way. It is promethium. This is known.
So I want all of you to make an investigation test.
Cool.
Okay.
Hey, turns out Space Marine's not so hot at that.
Yeah, well, this is no surprise.
Yeah.
Turns out for you.
Whee! Nope.
You're mostly concerned about whether the body is up and fighting you or whether it's dead. You know.
I mean, like, I'm...
Difficulty's going to be 3.
I super fail.
Nope.
I succeed with a exalted. I'd like to shift for more info.
Okay, and
Yeah, a 7, and I would also like to do that.
okay, well, you guys, we'll get that in just a second because really it's kind of it's a binary on this. You pass fail.
Okay.
If you want to shift anyway, you can donate up to 1 into glory
Do
Yeah.
it!
per
Yeah,
test.
Doing it.
So so go ahead and throw 2 more glory into the pool.
Yes.
So you guys are taking your shift, and instead of getting more information, really all I wanted to say is that looking a little closer at the bodies, something strikes you as being a little weird about them. And the priest grabs one, he starts to pull it over, and Lady Aloretta like whoa,
No.
and she
Yeah.
like carefully helps him, where it's not going to disturb all the spores.
Mhm.
And you can see that this person has no wounds on their front of their body, like the carpet of fungus is on their back. But you flip them over and you see just like like an unblemished uniform and everything. These people weren't shot, they weren't cut, but the face when you turn over is this rictus. It's just not of terror and not of pain, but anguish.
Oh, never mind. Different.
Like
Different
severe anguish.
this is not
That's
so
what you're
happy.
getting. Yeah, that's a totally different Chaos God. We would be playing a very different game right now.
Yes,
actually.
yes, we
The
will.
It wouldn't be
dark
spores.
hour.
CSI 40K. All right.
Mm.
Don't turn on the black light. That's all I'm saying.
It's like a Warcraft.
So
Anyway.
So you see these people all have this look of anguish on their face when you turn them over, and
By the Emperor.
How
It
did
is the box of...
So,
it was the box that killed them. She says
Yeah.
I investigate the box
It's not
without
there.
touching it in any way, shape, or form.
it's not here. There's just an empty
Oh, it's empty
space,
space.
right?
I have a question.
what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Guys, sorrow. Cool. It's the box of sorrow.
Gwyneth
well,
Paltrow.
Hey,
Anyways.
Anyway.
Spoiler alert.
Gwendolyn, Lady Gwendolyn.
Yes.
You said the only survivors were you and the tech priest.
I do not know for certain, but I believe he's still alive. We were communicating via Vox only a few hours ago.
Does
What
he have
about
valuable
the other?
information?
What about the other Inquisition guy?
Oh, dude who was on the on the hologram.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to him. I kind of spaced out
Yeah,
for a while.
You did to appear to
What
us.
is wrong with you? Are you narcoleptic?
No.
There's a sudden clap of air, like a thunderclap.
Uh-oh.
And you all sense you smell ozone, and there is a flash of light.
Teleporting.
A teleport has just occurred, and standing in the room in front of you is this tall man who has this long flowing cape, and he's bald, and he's got like sort of a hook nose, and he stares at you with a stern expression and flicks up his hand, and the symbol of the Inquisition blooms out of it. "What are you doing here?" he demands.
Do we
We're on a
recognize him?
diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Wow.
Oh wait, wrong system. Sorry.
We have come for Gwendolen. I bow and sign an equal.
Yeah, he seems to accept that as his due, and then just sort of flicks it off as he sees you're not attacking, and maybe the presence of the battle brother kind of reassures him somewhat.
Do we recognize
So like
him?
that's his.
No, he's
credentials.
totally no one you've seen before.
What's it? So his symbol should say something about like his rank, right? So what do I know about that?
Well, he's a full Inquisitor.
Full Inquisitor. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's-
he's big hoobah.
He's
All right.
he's
Scary.
definitely in charge.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah. You're cool.
Inquisitor, what
We're
brings you to
ready.
this station?
To me, meaning to my facility.
This is your.
Somebody has a serious problem.
I come under the direction of my Inquisitor, whose name is not written in my packet that I could see.
You get to make up the name of your Inquisitor.
Oh.
Well, what would you like the name of your Inquisitor to be?
Ooh.
You can think about that. Write
I'm
it
gonna
down.
think about that for a second.
All right. I am Inquisitor Gelt, he says, and this is my facility, and I find you trespassing. He kind of looks around the room, suddenly starting to realize that something is very wrong.
How long has it been since you've been here, buddy?
Yeah.
And he points his finger again, kind of in your direction. What have you done with it? Where is the box?
Wasn't here when we got here. Inquisitor Aelin has sent me to find Gwendolen, who
Inquisitor
knows what
whom?
happened. Aelin.
Aelin. Ah, yes, I know of him. A dilettante. Ordozinos, yes?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
He just kind of grunts. This has nothing to do with him and his band of alien hunters.
We were sent by rogue trader Valorius. in
Veronius? Yes, I
in
know
search
him
of
as well.
Lady Gwendolen for information on an investigation of ours.
Yeah, it seems that the box was opened, he says, looking
Indeed.
around.
We just arrived.
Well, if you're with the rogue trader, then I will assume that you were allies.
I mean, we all serve the Emperor.
Hold
am I
together,
right?
brother.
But one thing is of utmost importance. We must locate the box.
What can you tell us about the box so that we can help you find it?
Its origin is unknown, though we suspect it's from... Please stop that. Its origin is unknown, but we suspect it is from the Dark Age of technology.
Really?
It was recovered from Troilus, which is one of the rogue exoplanets that appeared only in the wake of the Great Rift opening in the sky.
Oh, fun. Okay, cool.
We know it is psycho-reactive, but I had left a team to study it and learn more of its secrets, which was led by... He starts to look around. You haven't seen an interrogator by any chance, have you?
We
Sort
have
of.
Kuvar?
Yes.
Kind of.
Wait.
He was on the
Uh-huh.
hologram earlier. The Vox.
Hololith.
Oh, yeah.
Hololith. Yes.
He's not here though.
We have not seen his presence.
And neither have I. And he gets out a data slate and starts to tap frantically into it. Damn. Kuvar was the one who brought the box back from Troilus.
Oh, you sneaky thing.
This may be a trap.
Look around.
We should leave now. Are you bringing that? And he
Yes.
points over at Gwendolen, who just kind of gives him a look.
She may be the key to helping us solve the mystery. of
Thank
what has
you.
happened to
Thank you very much. Yes.
Gotcha.
I have much knowledge, Inquisitor. I may be... Silence! We must leave now. Are you coming or not?
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lead the way, boo.
Trojan
Sir,
walks
your
over
mighty
to
Cernus.
the fun gal.
The fun guy.
Yes.
and lifts her up gingerly,
Okay.
but motions for everybody else to stay the hell away, and proceeds down the hallway.
Commissar?
I'm not gonna stop him.
All right, so you will quickly get back to the hangar bay, and I will just take this moment to, Abe, please hand out a point of wrath to everyone.
Hey.
Good role-playing should be rewarded. Everyone's done a great job so far. So you were all given
Hey.
one wrath. And please don't forget, you have that objective still if you want to achieve it. Also, do not forget, you each have a card called a campaign card.
Mm-hmm.
This can be played once per game. It's a one and done, and use or lose it because you don't get to carry it over. So don't forget you have that. I just wanted to point that out, that each of you has one of those as well. So, all right.
And that's something we have to use during the course of the session? Sometimes?
Yes. I mean, you don't
Is it
have
'cause
to.
it
There's
doesn't
no
transfer over?
requirement to use it. You can...
But if we were playing more than one session, it wouldn't carry over.
It would not carry over. Yeah.
Are these normally unique to the character, or are they randomly determined?
They are unique to the campaign. The card set you have in front of you is for the Wrath of Glory core rulebook, which is kind of more broader general 40k, but we're going to have a set for each campaign that we do. So the Imperium Nihilus is its first campaign. It's going to have its own deck. And the Doom of the Eldar will have one themed just to the Eldar, things like those. Yeah.
And so everyone
Jennifer,
would randomly
so
get
excited.
one at the beginning of the mission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you draw randomly one. There is a way to there's not really a way to get any additional ones except for a weird psychic power. That's possible to get another card. It's a divination type ability. But for the most part, yeah, you get the one and that's it.
So on that topic,
Uh-oh.
we've got these cards.
Yes.
So is this going to feed into something that the person running the game is, or like, do we kind of banter back and forth? Because I've got ideas, but
Sure.
I don't wanna...
I mean.
So I would really like
The card happens. It's gonna,
Okay.
that will happen.
Okay.
We just decide how it works out.
So as we're walking out of the lab back
Uh-huh.
to the lighter, so I am Alfarius. We are all Alfarius. We are Alpha Legion, and we are all one. But play to reveal that someone in the scene is not who they appear to be, and add one glory.
Okay, so first of all, you get a point of glory because you played the card,
Mhm.
and someone in the scene is not who they appear to be. Well, this would probably be a great time.
Let me leave this on you.
Okay, I have an idea of how I'd like to do this, and I think it would be kind of cool and exciting. So let's it's going to happen before the end of the scene,
That's cool.
and we'll if you trust me on this one, I think I'll roll with it. But yeah, somebody in the scene is suddenly not who they appear to be.
Okay.
What
fair.
are you defining the scene as?
So scenes are like a combat is a scene. Anything that there's a natural breakpoint between the progression of where you're going into the next part of the adventure is a scene. Like you might think of it like a 3-act structure
Sure.
for a movie. You can kind of tell like that was the first act, this is the second act. So it's a natural point of the narrative where you say, okay, and that's the scene.
Sure.
Game masters are usually allowed to just sort of say, when the scene is now over.
And scene.
Right, but you're not quite done with this scene yet because
Right.
you are not yet to the shuttle. So as you're passing through the hallways, the Inquisitor is sort of speaking very quickly to you. He's like, "Yes, we have to get out of here. There's no telling what Kuvar might have done. At least we have everyone who's still here, and I don't want to leave anyone behind."
What about that?
No. I don't know who you're talking about. We got everyone here.
You wish to find Kavar?
The Kuvar's, I'm certain he's not here.
If you
What
didn't
about
want
the
to leave
tech
anybody
priest?
behind, then we need to find the tech priest.
Who?
The tech priest. Gwendolen
I
told us that he was
joggled
the only other
Gwendolen.
person
He
who
just
has
kinda-
survived this.
He was in Sector Gamma?
A rail, yes.
Rail, yes.
Very
he also
well.
knows more about this situation.
Very well. I will key in the commands to open the doors between here and Gamma, and we must make haste.
Yes.
I don't trust anything that Kavar may have left behind because he clearly brought us here for his own purposes.
What purposes would those be?
Chaos? He
So
just
you-
sort of says that, and when he does, you can sort of sense, you feel that, just the shadow of that shadow you felt earlier, like that weird kind of coiling. Like when he says that, he's not talking about something.
Unordered.
Yeah, he's not just using a word. There's a weight to that word when he
it.
says it. Yeah, chaos. I fear that the Troilus had more than just the box. It was full of corruption as well. He may have brought it with him.
So was he himself corrupt, or did the box lead him to it?
That is an interesting question, but I think it's academic at this point.
Well,
The signs of the corruption are all around us.
I mean, obviously. Spore. We're walking.
I kind of want to pull the commissar to the side. Commissar,
Yes, Father.
this reminds me of when Saint Josiah was sent to rescue the relic of faith from the Josiah faced down a horde of heretics. They say the flames of Prometheum burned for days. This situation feels very, very familiar. And I'm sure you remember, his bones were then canonized.
I agree, Father. We do need more Prometheum. I get the point of your sermon here.
Yes, well done. And not only was that achieving the objective, it's good role playing. So take 2 Wrath out of that. That's
Yay!
pretty great.
Woo!
All right, so yeah, he stops and he's like, rail. All right. Now, tell me, he says, are you sure you want to take Gwendolen with you? And he kind of,
No.
he's like, sort of looking at her.
Absolutely.
Back
Why?
into the hell pit?
Because she's of my order. Why would I ever want to leave one of my order behind? You yourself said you didn't want to leave anybody behind.
Make a persuasion roll.
Ooh, I'm about that. Yeah, I'm about that.
She is kind of your face. I mean, the both Pater Nemoris and Interrogator Alaretta are kind of the face members of the party. So
Can
they
I
have
intimidate because I'm like backing her up and let her add a dice?
Yes.
Heck yeah, I totally do that.
So you loom impressively behind her, like you're going to support what she does. You get an extra die.
Good, I'm gonna get.
Use glory for rerolls or things.
Yeah.
Hit a
So
round
okay,
for
so
rerolling
if
failures.
I rolled 3 1s, and 4 failures, and then a crit.
So you did.
That's a lot of fails.
You got a 6 on the wrath die?
Yeah.
No.
What,
No, not on the wrath die.
Oh.
On one of the just regular.
Okay.
Twos. The wrath die is a failure.
It's not a 1 though.
No, it's
Okay,
a 2.
good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, no complication would be good. That complication would be really.
Oh, it's only when the wrath die gets a 1.
Correct. Yeah, wrath die. Wrath die is the only thing you need to worry about for the
Okay.
1s and the
Yeah,
6s.
give me some glory on that.
Do it.
So that means I get another die.
Well,
So-
no, hang on.
Glory does
So
something different.
you spend wrath to reroll failures.
Yeah.
if you
can
don't-
spin. Oh, go ahead.
You
Sorry.
can spend glory, but only after the. So if you spend glory now, you're done rerolling. You skipped the reroll step and went straight to glory.
Oh, I see
no,
what you're
I'll
saying.
spend a wrath. I have 2.
Okay.
That's fine. I want to do that. So
Because
reroll
this
all
is
my
kind of
failures.
important.
This
Yeah.
is kind of really important to me. Much better.
It was kind of the reason
Okay.
we came down here to begin with.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
But that's also the Inquisitor's. He's got a lot of
That's-
authority, and it's his facility, so he might be like, yeah,
Nice facility,
no.
whatever. I'm
Spacer.
2 exalted and 3 5, so 7 total.
There we go.
7. That's pretty great. Okay, yeah. You're going to shift his attitude from indifferent kind of up to neutral. So he considers your words carefully and he nods. He says, "All right, very well. I shall consider you, since you've been here. First, I will give you some measure of jurisdiction in this matter. But realize that you are taking responsibility for her life
Naturally.
and her soul.
Of course.
Very well.
Oh
She is of my
no!
order.
You just signed off on something that you don't want.
This'll be fine. I got this.
Yes, sister.
All right, so you guys continue on down to the section Gamma. Section Gamma is not covered in fungus.
Oh, that's
Great.
cool. What's it covered in?
Well,
Ugh.
I'm glad you asked that question. So, as you're walking down the hallways here, you start seeing some red warning lights, and you can hear very dimly in the distance. You can hear the sort of klaxon, like a.
This is obviously fine.
You have 5 minutes.
Not like self-destruct, but definitely more like warning.
Yeah. got
Okay.
it.
And as you're heading down that pathway, you start to see there are remnants of fungus. Like you can see like the, black,
Oh.
sort of crusts of stuff on the
Somebody's
walls.
been busy.
And you get a warning rune on your helmet.
Okay.
It's a particular warning rune that only shows up in the presence of a particular threat.
Oh, do I recognize it? I hope I do.
You would, and actually anybody at this table would, because it's the trefoil of radiation.
Oh, everybody
no.
hold up. Back it on up. Back it on up.
Nope.
So I gather the party, and I warn them, well, y'all even know what radiation is?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, cool. They know. Okay, cool.
Went to
The
school.
area in front of us is highly radioactive.
You might use the word toxic. It's highly
Toxic.
toxic. Yeah.
Like death almost immediately upon entering.
Well,
Or
so radiation never it's very
It'll get you a
rarely
couple
it's
days
like
later.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're seeing an elevated level.
Mhm.
We're talking about it's dangerous, but it's not like reactor core dangerous.
Is it something like
Don't stay here for a long
You
time.
could
is what I'm
walk
saying.
in there, stay for an hour, walk out, take some medication, and be fine.
That's probably what you're looking at right
We
now.
don't
That
want to
is
linger,
what
but
I-
we can pass.
That is why I convey. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry?
Like,
We
we
don't
don't want to
wanna
linger, but we can pass.
you definitely don't want to linger. Yeah,
Did you
absolutely.
have to?
Why do Inquisitors
Anyways.
always use radiation weapons?
Because
Because
It's
they're
been like
so-
4 editions. I'm
Oh
just saying.
no, this section.
it's
This-
super rad, obviously.
Yeah, Gelt, the Inquisitor. When you say it's radiation, he says he just kind of winces, like this was clearly not his idea.
This seems to get rid of the spores. Maybe if we left Gwendolen here for a little while, it would fix her.
Do you still have her, or is she back at the...
That-
She's
I
she's
still
with the
not.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I think that's a bad idea?
I'm willing to wait if you wish.
Is it safe to leave her here?
Yeah.
I mean, really though, would it kill the spores quicker than it would kill her?
I'd like give her a long.
Does anybody have is there like a medicate? Like, can we give her like a medical look over?
Oh, right here in the hallway?
Not like a deep dive, but like how bad off is she?
Like a real quick
looking?
analysis.
Yeah.
Realize that she's like A, wearing clothes, and B, has a coating of fungus on parts of her body.
Bad, but...
It doesn't look good. You can make a Medicaid test if you like. The difficulty's a 7 though, because it's.
I mean, that's
really
not my
hard.
forte. I was just wondering if
I've got. The difficulty's a 7.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I've only got 5 die on it.
I only got
so-
We'll realize 5 dice can be 10.
yeah.
Right, and you can spend glory for extra dice. So if
It
you
doesn't
really
hurt
want
to
it,
try,
if it's
actually.
possible to hit a 7, it's just
I just
hard.
want to know, basically, is it worth bringing her along, or is she gonna live if we just
No.
set her down?
She doesn't look like she's dying right away. She looks
Okay.
like she's, not in good
I
shape.
don't want her
but-
to get ambushed by
So she's fine.
by
She's totally
Foxwalkers. Thank you.
I failed my wrath, so
Oh,
I
complication?
totally think she's fine. Ooh.
I'm willing to accept that as a complication.
I think she'll be fine here.
She's made an alternate lifestyle choice. This is her
She's
truth.
just really into that
Wow.
body modification.
Wow.
You are definitely your Inquisitor must be a radical.
He really is though.
She's
Okay.
out
He,
there.
that's something here.
Oh, he's like the 90s Inquisitor now?
He uses rad grenades.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Her Inquisitor is actually just Keanu Reeves.
Whoa.
Whoa, man.
Anyway,
Anyways.
all right,
Yeah,
so
my Inquisitor leans towards the radical end of the spectrum. More
Okay.
interested in success than the methods used to actually achieve it.
so yeah, you're
Mark
playing
clearly
it
is
to the
so
hilts.
fine.
Brother,
Give yourself a
Cole.
wrath thing, because that's absolutely
Great,
to the
'cause
hill.
I just lost rank.
All right, so yeah, so Lady Aloretta looks at Gwendolen, looks back at you and says,
I think it might be best if we leave her here and attempt to allow some of the radiation to burn off this fungus. Besides, we'll be able to move more quickly if we leave her here.
Oh, I'm
For the
convinced
duration.
at that point. You got me.
Should we
Let's
perhaps
move quickly through
Should
the
we
range.
perhaps leave the one of us who's safest here with her?
No.
Oh, split the party.
No.
This could be fine.
No.
Just an idea. No? Not
No.
about it?
she says, I'll be fine.
How
The
many
Space
per-
Marine's
how many-
like, it's my responsibility to protect this innocent. Oh, sorry, wrong chapter. No, go forward. Always going forward.
Bro,
You're a little impatient.
Yeah,
I
I
say
know.
too.
I'm ready to go.
How many
Yeah.
grenades
All
do
right,
you
fine
have?
then. Well,
Huh?
let's
How many
hurry.
grenades do you have?
I've got 2 frag grenades.
Do you want to leave her a frag grenade?
That's... I look over at her and I'm like, huh?
I leave her my knife.
she
and my
happily
last
takes it.
pistol.
You go for it.
Wow, oh yeah, she takes all the weapons.
Because I have
She's
my
like,
chainsword still.
No,
That's
a
fine.
frag grenade's good enough.
I
whatever
want
you want to
more
leave with
options.
her, just mark it off and she's got it. So
Okay.
yeah,
I leave her my
Does
bolt
she
gun.
still have
Enjoy.
yeah, she has a Vox speed. She can
Uh,
stay in contact with you.
Okay.
Yes. We give her. Here is the Vox gentleman.
All right.
veteran and-
If they
The
come-
Inquisitor's like, harumph.
Let's go.
I mean, like, as soon as we're gone.
Okay.
We're gone.
Gone, babe.
I
gone.
don't touch her, by the way. I just say, here's the Vox.
You know, I don't blame you.
Here's my Vox number. Call me on Saturday.
I'm gonna have to clean my armor before I move it. Yeah. Anyways, that was happening anyways.
All right, so you head
Oh,
further into
Lord.
Gamma with the radiation marker. You guys all kind of feel like your skin prickles a little bit from time to time, whether that's some sort of deep scan auspex or maybe just an after effect of the radiation washing through the area. You're not entirely certain.
That's how cool I am. Anyways.
Yeah, you don't really care.
I'm like, I could be walking through this without a suit and I wouldn't care.
It's
Mostly.
like a suntan on the inside.
Mostly you'd be okay. You got 2 hearts. You got a lot of.
It's not a tumor, but it's a tumor.
You got a lot of secondary organs. You're probably okay.
I don't need this.
All right, so before long, you actually enter a room that this is clearly some kind of chirurgian
Nice.
location, like a medical bay. You can see all kinds of flat metal tables and articulated arms with saws, and there's actually a little kind of like a little hutch on the wall that's got like a peaked roof, and inside a glass you can see a cherub, like the little cloned.
Oh,
Yeah.
They have like the body of a baby and a skull face and little wings, and their fingers are syringes.
Ew.
Okay, yeah, they're really creepy.
Big fan. Big fan.
And like inside
That's
this,
some heresy.
inside this room, there's
No, that's
it's
pretty
actually spotless. Like the fungus kind of stops almost a few feet away from the entrance, and then you're walking into this bay.
Do we get an idea if there's some kind of like containment field keeping it this clean, or is it just like
There's a spray of disinfectant that washes over you.
Oh, neat! I needed that anyways. Axe body spray.
The holy cleansing unguents of the Emperor. I embrace it.
Ow, it burns.
Keep
Right.
your mouth shut, though.
And there's a whirring, clicking sound, and from behind one of the huge, like, refrigerated cabinets, you can see this body come lurching, swooping out of the darkness,
Oh,
and he just kind of lunges right at you with all these blades and green glowing eyes. Quick, what is your reaction? Okay, what is your reaction?
I recognize this as a member of the
Stab.
staff.
Stab? Cogsworth, no!
Stab.
So the priest just kind of goes, hello. And Abe, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize. I'm sure. This,
All right, so nobody actually shoots the tech priest as he
Oh
comes
no,
swooping in.
I'll like
I gave
interpose
her my
myself.
gun. Ooh.
I don't know.
So
if I noticed this yet.
it is in fact a tech priest, and you can see that this is. Yeah, that's not the right symbol.
I know.
Calm
That's what I
down.
do, though. It's what I
Yeah, well, it's totally what you would do. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's, it has no effect on this.
Messiah, anybody?
Look up.
Anybody?
No,
So you can see,
do.
he's got a trio of little green photoreceptors. He's got a deep red hood, and most of his body is made out of metal. And the parts that aren't made out of metal,
Fungal growth.
yes, and just bloated.
Ooh.
Suppurating, like literally, like all kinds of pus and stuff are draining down
Stay
the
back.
sides, and the smell is just rancid. It just hits you like someone hasn't taken the garbage out in weeks. You just kind of get the whoa, that milk has gone bad, buddy. Is what you get from this guy, and as he kind of swoops into view, these clicking blades at the end of his fingers suddenly retract like switchblades. Huh.
You must
Finally. You can hear this sort of vocoder, like he's got like the, like the
Nice.
vote. Yeah. Finally,
Finally, you're here.
I thought I would probably cease functioning before that blasted rogue trader sent any of his men to check on us.
Totally.
Oh, don't worry. It's perfectly fine for your organics. I've already sterilized all of my fleshy parts. I know it looks poor, it looks bad, but appearances are not to my concern. Merely whether or not these machines continue to serve their function to the Omnissiah. Now tell me, do you have some sort of transport off of this rock?
Is there such a thing as a check that I could do to see if this guy is lying?
Yes, insight.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Make an insight check.
Absolutely.
Now-
Oh my God! I am super good at these guys. Too nice.
Well, I want to warn
Great
you.
face Murray.
I want to warn you. You don't actually have the right keyword either.
Oh, okay.
No,
Hey,
you can
guys,
do it.
Fellow players, I have just helpfully pointed out a rules mechanic that you might want to take advantage
Yep,
of.
doing it.
So the reason why the keyword is important is because he doesn't really have a face.
I need to be like conversant in mechanical click-clack.
Yeah, you need, if
Body
you if you have the
language.
keyword, you would know. I'm saying it's harder because you don't have the keyword.
Okay, I am definitely. I mean, like, I can try this, but
The
maybe.
Inquisitor's with us, though, right?
Yeah, Gelt is with you. Yeah,
Gels, is this your man?
it looks like him. Yes, Arail. What the hell happened here? And the tech priest, kind of spider-like sections of his mechadendrites pop free of the wall. He was kind of connected up in this nest of cables, and they come slithering down like a swarm of serpents across the ground, and then he just kind of strides forward. Some sort of psycho-reactive aura, blasted through the entire facility. It knocked out most of my servitors, and I'm pretty sure destroyed most of your biological friends. Fortunately for me, I clipped off the part of my brain that dealt with emotion a long time ago.
Wise move, sir.
Yes, it's all basically goo at this point.
Indeed.
Yep, that seems pretty
Efficient.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's get out of here, right?
We have come to rescue you, yes?
Alright.
Aim GTFO.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we got this guy, it's turn around. I mean, like, Cole is like, okay, mission accomplished. Let's get the hell out of
Did
here.
you, like,
and get
grab
this
him?
Site from orbit. Yeah, no, I'm begging him. I feel like I've dealt with his type before.
Okay.
It's just like, come along now.
All right. And he
I'm
he
sure
does that.
horrible
He's
things
like,
happen to
yeah,
my grandma.
very well. And he starts to move forward, and then he stops for a second. He turns. He's, oh, that's bad. The situation is... I'm picking up indications of my aspects that there's more psychic activity. Something's happening. We should go.
What is
quickly.
he telling you? What kind of psychic activity?
We should go.
I think a breach between the materium and the immaterium.
It's
Is there a way to stop that? To
For
end it?
artillery.
to run.
He kind of shrugs. He's like, perhaps, but the Inquisitor would know more. And Gelt's like, we gotta go. He's just
Yeah.
like, move.
Wait, if there's a chance of stopping this from spreading further beyond here, we should absolutely look into it and see if it's within our capabilities.
Artillery. We leave.
That
get
Not-
the artillery.
That'll
Yeah.
close the rift.
Gel
Yes.
just... Okay, so, you know what? God, this is a really hard test, but try a persuasion if you really want to go for
Do
it.
it. Yes.
All right, you need a 9.
Damn.
This
I'm
is
not supporting
really
you this time.
hard.
No.
I want to leave.
He's
I know
he's
what
Ordo
Chaos
Malleus,
Incursions
and he's
look
like, we've got to go.
Chaos Incursion's bad. Shoot at them from a long way away. Several, like, orbital distances
something.
away.
So you said it's 7?
Yes, it's the only way.
9.
9. Alright, I'm gonna spend this.
Uh-oh.
Oh, are
she's
you
going.
close?
Oh
Going
my
for it.
God.
Oh my
I'm
God.
at 6.
Oh my God. You could
Go
actually
for
make
it.
this happen.
And
7,
then
8.
we went to our deaths.
Wow.
Use glory. Use glory.
You can only reroll once on Wrath. You're,
Right,
so
But use
once
glory to add dice.
you can add dice with glory if you want. If you really want to do it, burn some glory and make it happen.
Do it. I just want to see this happen now. I
Do
also
I
want our
wanna
characters
know?
to
Did you
die.
get us all
I
killed
wanna-
last
That's
time?
you know that's
I'm
a really
so
great
ready to
question.
make this a continuing occurrence.
I would
Wait,
I would
does
recommend
this
not.
being have the
personally.
Imperium keyword?
I'm sorry.
Does this being have the Imperium?
Yes, he
keyword?
does. Absolutely.
You
You get a plus. You get a bonus because
Inquisitorial decree.
So you're gonna name your Inquisitor when you do this. All right, make it happen and roll your die.
Alright, so my due diligence suggests that I would need to do everything I can to follow the will of my Inquisitor, and that would be to stop this from happening, if at all possible, and keep it from spreading. I think this is something we should at least stop to think about before we leave.
All right, so you get one more die, and you just need a 4 higher.
Roll a 6.
4 better.
Yes, it's 4!
Yes!
It's a 4!
We're gonna
It's a
die!
All right,
We're so gonna die.
you invoke the name of Inquisitor Aurel, who's apparently a pretty respected guy, and
That alien, he knows what's up.
Inquisitor Gelt just goes,
I'm just saying.
fine, Aurel, take us to the source. I can't believe I'm doing this. He gives you this look that says, there will come a day when you stand in the diadem before the Ordos Gilead, and there will be a reckoning.
Brother
It'll be
Inquisitor,
fine.
that day
This'll
will
be
never come.
fine.
We're going to our deaths.
I mean, I just want us.
I don't know
to
about
stop
you,
and
but I have a
think about
teleportarium.
it. Like, if you're all sure that
Touche.
we can't do anything about it, that's fine. But I just want to make sure we know that that's a certainty. Like, we're not rushing out of here without stopping to think about it.
No, you're
That's all I'm
convinced.
saying.
So Aurel's is, he just kind of points right down the hallway.
All right, fine, let's go.
Rail, before we
Eileen.
go down the hall, do you know where the Prometheum is kept on the stage?
Do you want to stop and make a supply run? Says the Inquisitor, and he just kind of gives you that
No,
mom
no.
look.
I mean, that is what the
He
Eskimo
gives
you the
does
mom
best.
He has frag grenades, I was just thinking on the way out.
Priest, go.
Inquisitor.
No.
I have room enough for 2 at the gallows. Go.
Oh, I love that line.
Reminder, we have 9 minutes before we need to take our break.
Yep, trust me, I'm on it.
Yay!
So you guys go running down the hallway. You come rushing up. Following Aurel's directions. You pass through the radiation field. You pass through the hallways covered in the gross fungus, and you come back around the corner. You see Adept Gwendolen waiting for you. She's beckoning you. She's like, I heard something. It's this way. And you come rushing up to her. And just as you get to that point, she turns back to you and looks, and she smiles. And that smile on her face, it just gets bigger, and then it starts to split apart, and her body actually forms like the outside of a husk.
I love it.
And from inside the husk, oh God,
Chair.
wow.
Jed.
I'm really bothered by this.
Well, hey, you're really getting into the game. I love it. From inside the husk, you can see a pair of creatures step out, and they are these one-horned cyclopean beasts with long limbs and pot bellies.
Oh no!
And there's a stink of just the worst sewage filth in the world. They have these bronze corroded blades. 2 plague bearers of Nurgle
Oh, yeah.
emerge from her body.
My
She
bad.
was not who she appeared to be.
I love it! Nicely done!
And that's a good place to take a break, and let's come back in a little bit for more of Wrath of Glory, the Box of Sorrows, here on Belle of Lost Souls.
All right.
Pause.